Hi guys, this is the tutorial on how to upload your processed logs into Google Cloud into BigQuery. This assumes that you've already processed the logs, so you'll need to have done the previous video in this series, which you can find in the post on distill.net about logs. But assuming you've already processed your logs using Screaming Frog Log Analyzer and the little program, you're ready to go with the second one. So the first thing we need to do is sign up for Google Cloud Console. So I've Googled it, Google Cloud Console, and then I pick this first option here. I'm assuming here that you already have a Gmail account, a Google account that you can work with. Otherwise, you need to sign up and get one of those too. Once you've done that, we're going to go over here and we're going to open Storage, and we're going to open BigQuery in new tabs. And then we're also going to sign up for a free trial and put in our credit card information. As I mentioned in both the talk and the post that go along with this, both Google Cloud Storage and BigQuery are incredibly cheap. You'll literally be paying pennies. However, we have to put in our credit card just so they can charge us those pennies. We don't really ever expect to be charged anything at all. So once we've done that, we go to BigQuery and we can get up to loading our data. As I mentioned, you can see I've tried to do this video at least twice before. So we're going to create a little data set, which is like the project that we want to put our logs into. We'll put it in the EU, and then we'll say we don't ever want it to expire. Great, test data 3. Click this little plus sign. Now we're going to add the individual table to put our logs into. So the first way we could, four kind of things here. We need to choose the place where we're going to upload our logs. That's the first one. So we could just click choose file and then go and select it from here if it's a small log file. However, if it's larger, you'll need to get it from Google Cloud Storage. You need to put it to Google Cloud Storage first and then give that location in here. And because you might have to do that, that's what we're going to do in this video, because the other one is very obvious. So this is the Google Cloud Platform, the storage thing that we opened earlier. You can see here I've signed up for the free trial. So we're going to create a bucket, test DOM logs. Standard is fine, and then we're going to put it in the EU where we are. This is just a bucket where you would store things. As you can see, it's put us in it. And then we're going to drag and drop in our logs, this SF process CV from beforehand. We'll see it upload. And wonderful, there it is. So then we need to copy this location. So we're GS Google Cloud Storage, and then we're test DOM logs, and the file is SF_ processed CSV. Great, so that's our logs location. And it's a CSV, so we'll leave that as CSV. Then we need to call the table name within our project. We're going to call this log analysis. If we were then to upload Screaming Frog data later on, another table might be Screaming Frog crawl, or whatever you want. Then we come on to probably the bit that needs the most explanation, which is schema. What on earth is schema? So it's useful here to go back and look at our log file as they were in the Screaming Frog Log Analyzer. You can see here, if you were to open this in Excel, each of these columns would just appear in Excel with your data in. But if you're uploading into BigQuery, you have to give it some information. You have to tell it the kind of data to expect in each column, and you have to give it the name. You can't just guess and work out what it is. So in our case, we've got a URL column, a timestamp column, a remote host column, all of these columns, and we can see the types of data they are. So this is a string, this is a number, this is also a number, this here is a timestamp or a date. Again, the string. If you're not sure, typically we just put string because it will cause the least problems. So if we come back to here, that is the wrong one. And we come back to the schema. We're going to click edit as text, and then we're going to copy the schema string that I put below this video in the post. I've just got to open in the text editor, but it's in the post that you found this video in. And so we can see here that I've just copy and pasted it in, and I click edit as fields. You can see how I've named each of those columns in here. So we've got URL, which I've called full URL here, timestamp, which I've called timestamp here, and so on and so forth. And you can see I've also set the data types. You should just be able to copy and paste this for most of you. The only little sanity check you want to do is just double check that there are no extra columns in here. If there are, then you'll need to go over to here and you need to add them on the bottom, or whichever order they come into. And if you're unsure of what the data type would be, just leave it as string, because that's going to probably work fine. It's a CSV, so we'll leave it as comma. We've got a header row. We've got one header row to skip, because obviously the first row isn't an actual log file. It's the titles of each column. And we've got two other kind of main intentions to pay attention to here. One is the number of errors allowed. So at the moment, if you try and upload this and anything is wrong about it, if any of the data types are weird, for example, if there was a non-timestamp piece of data in the timestamp column, it will immediately stop you from doing that. The way you can get around that is you can increase this error number to whatever you'd like. I tend to, however, leave it at 0 to begin with and wait and see if anything does break. The other useful one is ignore unknown values. If you happen to be working with some foreign language characters, maybe you have Chinese URLs, some weird characters in there, then ticking this box will firstly try and upload it without it. But if that breaks because it's giving you some sort of weird character errors, try ticking this box because that might just fix it. It means it will just ignore any row where there's a weird URL. Sorry, a weird character in. So I'm going to click Create Table. You can see here, again, I've done this before, but it's loading it over here. And hopefully, because it's quite a small file, we see this wonderful green tick. And now we've got our table of data to work with. Great, so we're almost done and we're almost ready to go. We can obviously see some details about the table and then the preview of what's inside it. The main last thing we need to do is we'd like to be able to work with this data, split this up, just so it's a little bit easier to work with. So for example, it would be nice to see just the paths rather than having to have the full URL in all of them. It would be nice if we could kind of see query parameters by themselves. So again, we're going to take this query. I've got it in a text editor, but it is also below the post. I'm going to click Compose Query, this big red button, copy and paste it in. Now we need to change two things. First, we need to change this from, so it's the table that we've called it, which in our case is test data 3. See, when I press tab, it allows me to autocomplete. Test data 3 log analysis. That's what we're working with. And then secondly, I need to change this bit here. So you can see in our one, this is the host name here that we're working with. We're working with teblesearch.com. So in my case, that I've then put in here, over here, I've put in teblesearch.com. And then the other thing that I've done is I put a slash before the dot. So for example, if your website was different, if your website was example.co.uk, then what you would want to copy and paste in over there is example /dot/.uk. So we take this and we put it over here and over here. But in this case, obviously, this is teblesearch.com, so I'm just going to undo that, delete all of this. And then we're ready to go. So we're just going to click Run Query. We can see here we've got our new data set with all these lovely new process columns. So we can see we've separated out the folders. We've got this Google Agent column, which tells us if it's Googlebot or not Googlebot, or Google AdBot. We've separated the path and the query. And this is all the information we want to work with. So we're going to click Save as Table. We save it into test data 3, and we'll call this a log analysis final. Press OK. We can see here it's now saving our query results into here. And now in here we've got our full load of columns and lots of lovely data and files to work with. And we're good to go. You can also delete this old table because we don't care about it.